How could a queen's disability become a fashion trend? It sounds impossible, but in Victorian Britain, women actually copied the way a royal woman walked after an illness left her with a permanent limp, and that wasn't even the strangest part. The same woman became famous for wearing high collars and chokers around her neck. Why? Because they helped hide a scar. This was Alexandra of Denmark, the future Queen Alexandra. She married the future King Edward VII in 1863, and very quickly people became fascinated by almost everything she wore. Her dresses, jewelry, hairstyles, and even the way she carried herself could influence fashionable society. Then, in 1867, Alexandra became seriously ill with rheumatic fever. She was left with a stiff and painful knee. The problem did not simply disappear when she recovered. She still had trouble walking, and eventually she developed a permanent limp. But Alexandra found her own way of moving that made walking easier for her. And then something almost unbelievable happened. Women who had perfectly healthy legs started copying it. For a short time, Alexandra's way of walking became fashionable among women in London society. Her limp was even copied while dancing at social events. Think about that. Alexandra wasn't trying to create a fashion. She was dealing with the painful injury, but because she was one of the most admired women in Britain, even something caused by illness could become a trend. And Alexandra had another part of her appearance that she wanted to keep hidden, a scar on her neck. She often wore high necklines and large chokers, sometimes made with several strands of pearls. For Alexandra, the jewelry helped cover the scar. For everyone else, it looked like beautiful royal fashion, and the style caught on. The white pearl choker, sometimes called a dog collar, became strongly linked with Alexandra's look and was copied by fashionable women. So imagine what was happening. Alexandra had a problem with her knee, and women copied the way she walked. She had a scar she wanted to hide, and women copied the jewelry she wore around it. In both cases, the original reason was personal, but the public saw only the finished look, and Alexandra was influential enough for that to matter. She was not just a member of the royal family, she was one of the great fashion figures of her time, and her clothes and jewelry were watched closely by fashionable society. The strangest part is that Alexandra herself kept living an active life. Despite the lasting problem with her knee, she continued to ride, skate and dance, so she wasn't simply accepting that illness had changed everything. She found ways to work around it, and people watching her turned those adaptations into fashion. A painful knee became a fashionable walk, a scar became a reason for beautiful chokers, and a royal woman trying to manage the things she didn't want people to notice ended up influencing what other women wanted to look like. Alexandra never chose the illness, she never chose the scar, but she could choose how she appeared in public, and in Victorian Britain, that was powerful enough to turn a personal problem into a fashion trend. Sometimes fashion doesn't begin with someone trying to look different, sometimes it begins with someone simply trying to hide what they don't want the world to see.